Hi, welcome to Girl Reimagined, an online coaching community led by me, Jamie Shannon. We're going to chat for just a minute today about a few really important things for this community. We're going to cover the difference between coaching and counseling. We'll also talk about who this group is for and why that matters. And then I'm going to give some advice or tips for what to do if this group is not a good fit. And then last, we'll talk about our community guidelines so that we can make this community the best it can possibly be. So first, coaching versus counseling. I've been working with teenage girls since 1999. And what I know to be true about almost every single girl I've ever met is they don't want to believe that anything is wrong with them. And in fact, I don't believe that anything is. So coaching is a very proactive approach to getting girls the help that they need. We start from exactly where your daughter is, and we help her get to where you and she want to be. So it's a fun way to learn tools, tips, strategies, and to know that somebody's really in your corner who wants to see you succeed. Counseling is similar in many ways, but counseling is more of a reactive measure. So most of the time people seek counseling once something major or something traumatic has happened in their life, whereas coaching is something that hopefully is front loaded and a gift that is given to girls before things go awry. Another difference between coaching and counseling is that in coaching, we're always working towards a goal. So everything's very action oriented, and in between sessions, girls are always working on something, reflecting on something, or striving towards a goal that they feel is important to them. So first, let's talk about who this group is for. This is a very specific group for parents who are proactive, and they've likely noticed a fairly recent change in their daughter. Their girls haven't been struggling for years and years and years. Like I said a moment ago, coaching is a preventative or a proactive measure. So this group is for parents who notice that things aren't quite right with their daughter, and they're not taking it lightly, because they understand the value of preventative measures. This group is also great for parents who are open to a non-traditional approach. So while medication is sometimes necessary, and we will talk about this on this chat today, in this group, oftentimes parents want to avoid medication and a lifetime of therapy for their girl. They want her to have the tools to handle life's ups and downs while she's in high school, while she's in college, and for the rest of her life. Parents that are a great fit for this group are not willing to settle. Oftentimes I hear people say, oh, it's just a typical teen thing, or oh, she'll grow out of it. But parents that belong here know that the teen years are challenging, but they still have a right to enjoy their lives. They still have a right to enjoy raising their daughter, and their daughter has a right to not have a miserable high school experience. So parents that fit in this community know that it's really important to keep working and keep trying until they find a solution to help their unhappy daughter. Parents that are successful here in this community are worried that if they don't do anything, their daughter's challenges are going to get worse, not better. That she might not be ready to leave home when she turns 18 and wants to go off to college. And even bigger than that, they have a fear that she won't live a life that brings her joy and happiness. And this group is for parents of girls who are unhappy. Perhaps they're less engaged than they used to be, or spending more than the normal amount of time in their room, kind of pulling away from family. Parents tell me that they definitely notice their girl isn't smiling as much as she used to, or enjoying the things that she used to. And then oftentimes when I get on the call with the girls, they tell me that they feel lost and they're not sure who they are or where they're going or even how they're going to get there. Parents that do well in this group also have anxious girls. Their girls worry a lot about school. and a lot about their friendships. And girls oftentimes put pressure on themselves to do really well or be perfect. And you might have a girl who is stressed, overwhelmed by schoolwork, nervous about college, or even just applying to colleges. And perhaps you've noticed that she's coping with stress in an unhealthy way. The thing about stress is girls have to cope somehow. So even if you're not sure what your daughter's coping strategies are, you might take a closer look and see that she is distracting herself on social media, or binge watching Netflix, or procrastinating, or maybe making riskier choices than she used to blow off steam, or choosing a group of friends who you know isn't exactly up to the caliber of people that you hope she would want to surround herself with. And with a really, really sad heart, I think it's important for us to talk about who I can't help, and even who this community is not for. My number one priority is getting your girls the help they need as quickly as possible. And I feel like I would be doing you a disservice if your girl struggles in the ways that we're about to talk, and I just let you kind of hang around in the group when I know that time is absolutely urgent for you and you need to be seeking the support levels that your daughter needs. So it breaks my heart. But if your daughter has been or is suicidal, this isn't the right place. If your daughter has chronic, severe anxiety or depression or both, there's a different level of support you need. And if your daughter has a more serious diagnosis, such as bipolar, borderline personality disorder, schizophrenia, eating disorders, and a history of long-term self-harm or PTSD, this group is not the level of support you need. But there is hope. I know many of you are just losing sleep at night, and you don't know what to do or where to turn next or how to find the help that you so desperately want for your daughter. And even if you've considered some of these things, I think that you might find this list helpful. CBT therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, is a wonderful proactive or active approach to therapy that I believe in. I would get her blood work done and then have that blood work looked over by somebody who understands how just one simple deficiency can really throw a teenage body with all the hormones involved into complete chaos. For example, I once had a client who had severe depression, and for months and months and months, we couldn't find a solution for her. Her therapist, her psychiatrist, me, her coach, her doctors, nobody knew what to do until one day she made it down to the Seattle Children's Hospital in the emergency room because her mom was afraid for her life. And during her stay at Seattle Children's, this girl had a full blood panel done along with a lot of other things. And they noticed an abnormally low iron deficiency. And what's interesting is that once this deficiency was brought up to an acceptable range, my client's symptoms almost completely disappeared. And I'm not saying that's going to be the case for your daughter, but things like iron, vitamin B, vitamin D, and all these things that our body needs to function at its best level are important to take a look at if your daughter's in crisis mode. Another thing that is very popular in my community, and I have been able to refer parents from this group to in their own communities, are DBT groups for teens. And that's dialectal behavioral therapy for teens. And the reason I capitalize teens is I believe that for any outside support that you are searching for, be sure that that person or that facility specializes in working with teens. It is a different animal. They need to truly care about what's going on with teens. They need to understand what it's like in their world. Otherwise, the help is going to not be as successful. If you've tried CBT and DBT therapies, a group really is a different experience. And that oftentimes looks like a group of Students who might be suffering in the same way, getting together twice a week to learn tools and strategies to help manage their depression and their anxiety. And while most girls that I refer to a DBT group are scared at first, it ends up not feeling as bad as they think, because they're not in the group to share their life stories or their deepest, darkest fears or secrets. They're there to learn tools. So it isn't as vulnerable as an experience as most girls think. Another option is a day treatment facility. If your daughter is suicidal, school takes a back seat, in my opinion. I focus on mental health and wellness first. So do not worry about the missed school. Take your daughter's mental health crisis seriously and try to find a really great day treatment facility in your community. And if you're worried for her health and safety in the evening when you're sleeping and maybe not able to watch over her as well as you would like, it's probably likely that she would benefit from an inpatient treatment facility. If you're not worried about your daughter's life, finding a counselor that she knows, likes, and trusts, and seeing that counselor on a regular basis for at least 6 months is my next recommendation. Oftentimes, it's hard to find somebody who specializes in teens, has availability, and an opening in his or her schedule, but it's very important to keep the help consistent for as long as it takes. Seeing a counselor twice a month is not going to make the difference that you're hoping for your girl. So if this is the right place for you, here are a few of my community guidelines that will help us ensure that this group continues to be a safe, supportive place for a long time to come. First, it's really important that you offer support to other parents, but not advice. And I guess there is an exception, but the reason I say offer support and not advice is many of you are struggling with the same thing. So if you have found a solution and you do know a thing that works and you have conquered a certain area that another mom is inquiring about, then by all means share your experience. But for the most part, what people really want and what people really need is to know they're not alone. So offer your support and not advice. Second, it's really important to refrain from posting or asking questions about anything that's outside of the scope of this group. So back to my last slide, if your daughter is struggling or in crisis mode or needs more than is going to be available in this group, feel free to stay and just listen and learn while you're doing whatever is in your power to get your daughter the help she needs. But please no posts that are just outside of the scope of this group. I think that's pretty clear. And last, if you are struggling in the ways that work in this group and you know that you want to find a solution for your daughter and you want to see her beautiful, joyful smile back again, and you find what you learn here helpful, invite your friends. There are so many parents out there struggling right now, and it's different than when we were raising toddlers, where there are books and resources and groups and meetups and play dates and mommy and me. When we get to the teen stage of raising our families, it's like crickets. All that support dies down and disappears. And many parents that I talk to feel very alone because of this. So if you find this helpful, and if you know that you have a friend or cousins who are raising teens who feel isolated and alone, let's grow this community so that we can change what it's like to raise a teenage girl, and we can give girls everything they need to adapt and thrive and absolutely go for their dreams. Wrapping up here for the last few minutes, I just want to emphasize that time really is of the essence. This is a picture I snapped of my daughter today, actually, and I feel like she was just born. And this is her at 6 years old getting ready to go to a birthday party, and time just slips by. And before you know it, they're ready to leave for college and maybe not as prepared as you hope they would be. Take a look at this very powerful, in my opinion, visual on time and why it matters. This picture is of a jar of marbles, and inside this jar there are 936 marbles counted by yours truly, so exactly 936. And what these marbles represent are all the weeks we have raising our children from birth, age 0 to 18. We have 936 weeks to not only keep them alive, but to raise them into the type of humans we want to send off into the world. In this jar are 468 marbles. These marbles represent the weeks we have between the time a child turns 9 years old and when they turn 18 and leave for college or move off and just dive into the world to live their lives. Just 468 weeks after your child turns 9. And in this jar, there are 104 marbles. And these 104 marbles represent the few short weeks that you have to prepare your daughter for life after she turns 16. So between the ages of 16 and 18, you have 104 weeks to give her all the tools she needs to live a happy, successful life. Man, that goes fast. The one thing I know for sure from the hundreds and hundreds of parents that I've spoken with and the thousands and thousands of teenagers I've worked with over the last 20 years is that parents who have a teenage girl who is in crisis and is struggling in ways that parents don't know what to do to keep their daughters alive, they would do absolutely anything to go back a few short years and give her the tools that she needs to thrive. You can't wait. You can't just hope that things get better or friend groups change or poor relationships end or she starts to learn to love herself. That doesn't happen without the right intervention and the right strategies. So just know that the time is of the essence and now is the time to get your daughter the help that she needs and deserves. So we'll have a lot of time together in this group, but if you're the type of parent that doesn't want to wait another single second to get your daughter help, book a call with me today. I'm going to put a link in the very first comment after I post this video, and that link will take you to my booking calendar, and we'll hop on a call for about 45 minutes or an hour, and I'll let you know if I can help. Or my goal will be, if I'm not the right person, to get your daughter the help she needs as soon as possible, which is the most important thing to me in this group. So thank you. Please, in the comments below, introduce yourself, tell us a bit about your daughter, and tell me what your fears are and what your worries are, what your number one concern is, so that I can bring you content in this group that you find valuable. I look forward to getting to know you. Thanks for taking the time to watch, and I hope you guys have a good day.